The original idea for Entourage, the series, started with a group of my friends that we were all hanging out, and it was really kind of like the birth of reality TV. And so they felt like what an interesting thing it would be to follow me and my guys around with all the craziness that was going on within my movie career and my personal life and all this stuff. And I said absolutely not, but we would be interested in actually creating a scripted series loosely based on my life. So we pitched it to HBO. They bought it right away. Lev and Doug were good friends for a long time. He wanted Doug to write it. So we would basically sit around on my basketball court at my old house, and we'd tell stories. And I'd bring all my guys around, and we'd tell stories. And, it just started. That was how it started. And then he went off and wrote. It just spoke to everybody. It was every guy's fantasy to kind of either be Vince or be one of the guys with Vince. um, and it was extremely well written, but he also did a great job of incorporating great female characters that were really strong. Vince is an actor, who's really kind of in the beginning of the series, kind of just an up and coming guy, but he's got potential to become a huge star. He surrounds himself with people that he trusts. His brother Johnny Drama has been out in Hollywood. That was loosely based on my cousin Johnny, who was out here before trying to get into Hollywood, and when I came out, he kind of took me under his wing. And then Kevin Conley's character, E, is loosely based on is a combination of the real E, who was my assistant for 20 some odd years, and Lev, who's my manager and producing partner. Um, he had no real experience in Hollywood, but Vince knew that he could trust him. And then Turtle is kind of like the right hand man, who's loosely based on my buddy Donkey, who unfortunately is no longer with us. But it's the guys that he's grown up with and that he can trust and that he knows has his back. So that's far more important than having somebody that has experience but doesn't really have loyalty. I remember when we were doing the pilot, we couldn't get anybody to do a cameo on the show. It was one of those things we had to literally beg people. But once we shot the pilot, we were able to show people what it was. People were quick to say yes. And then after the first season aired, people were calling us. It wasn't about chasing somebody down anymore. And we didn't have enough room in the movie to put as many people that wanted to be in it. And talking across all walks of life. Not just people in the entertainment industry, in the sports world, in the business world, everywhere. The stakes are so high, you can't help but want to know what's going to happen with Vince and his career, Ari and his career choices, Drama, just trying to figure out a way to continue to, carve out his own identity in the midst of living in his brother's shadow. The stakes are high, but it's ridiculous and absurd and crazy. He's created them and lived with them and breathed with them for forever. I mean, this is all he's done over the last decade and change. And even after seeing how good a job he did with the first movie, we offered him another movie and project, and he was like, no, I want to, if we're going to do another one, I just want to focus on this. He lives it. He was there and a part of it every single day on the set for every single episode. A lot of people who have written something, created something, don't really, necessarily have that involvement to that level, every single step of the way. The best part of it now with this particular movie is you kind of bring the guys back together. Vince is now single again. Everybody's kind of single and they're back to being the guys. Living together again, and everybody's kind of gone off and had their life, but now they're back together again. But I couldn't have in my wildest dreams imagined, even though I thought we had obviously the potential to make a great movie, that it would ever turn out as good as it did. I've seen the movie probably 10, 15 times, and I could watch it again right now from beginning to end, with a giant smile on my face. It's such a well-told story. It's shot so well. It looks fantastic. It has anything you could ever imagine in like a great summer date movie. I think the initial reaction will be from people who are fans of the series, and then the word of mouth is just going to spread like wildfire. And I think people who are going to, young people who didn't know anything about the show are going to discover it, and then go back and discover the show and start the series from the very beginning.